Hey guys, it's Joe from PWCMuscle, and today we'll be installing a Solas Impeller onto our GP1800 project ski. The first step is always disconnecting the battery, and after that's done we'll proceed by removing the linkage to our bucket. It's a 10mm bolt that's on the back side. Next we'll disconnect the steering linkage, which is also 10mm. Alright, now we can put our bucket down and remove the trim linkage from the pump. And disconnect the two hoses that are hooked up to our pump. Now we'll be removing the bolts that are holding the jet pump into place. There's going to be two at the bottom here. Two up on either side there, and then the bracket as well. They're 14mm or 12mm. Okay, now after you've removed these bolts, the pump and bracket should come out. This is a very brand new unit for us, so it's a lot easier than some of the other ones. There is a pry point here, however, and one on the other side down below, so that if the adhesive that's holding the two parts of the pump together isn't coming off, you have a pry spot. But since ours is so new, it comes off pretty easily. All right, and we have the nozzle portion of our pump taken off. Okay, to make a little bit more room under here, I've disconnected the hose that was attached up top, and also there's one Allen nut or Allen bolt that's holding this assembly on, and you just unscrew that to get it out of your way. That gives us a little bit more room to work with under here. Now there's a couple of pry points, one here and one on the opposite side down here, that you'll need to use a pry bar in order to break the seal. Okay, with the seal broken here, we'll just remove the jet pump. Oh, you can see that it's completely free to the rear, and be mindful of the drive shaft. Okay, with our pump out, we can start to remove our impeller. In order to do so, we need to use our shaft holder tool that will allow us to place the shaft in our vise and not damage the splines. We're now using a 1 1/16 wrench in order to turn the impeller. Again, it's reverse thread, so we're going down with our force. I applied some heat in order to help loosen it up, and it does take a fair amount of force in order to actually break it free. With this wrench, probably put about 150 pounds on it or so. So we already pre-loosened it just to show you. And then from here, once you actually get it to pop, it'll spin freely. And then you can slide it off the shaft. Alright, now we have our Solas impeller ready to be installed. It comes with its own special tool. This is going to be 1 3/8 in order to use a wrench on this. So you'll put on the impeller, slide this down the end, and then there's a cone that has set screws in it in order to keep it in place. Add a bit of additional marine grease to the shaft, and we can slide our cone into place. Alright, once that's in place, we have our little set screws, and just use an Allen key in order to lock this into position on the drive shaft. Next up, we're going to clean up some of the residual sealant that's on it, and then apply a very small amount back on of some fresh stuff there. It doesn't take very much to create a perfect seal on there. Don't want to go overboard. And then we'll be ready to reinstall our pump. Also on the splines that are at the end of the shaft here, add some more marine grease and we'll be ready to go. With the pump installed, we'll be installing the Venturi section next. Again, we put some fresh sealant on it, and it's just going to install right over top. So everything at this point is pretty much the exact opposite of the removal. We're going to attach the bolts that are holding our pump together. These are the two top ones. There's two more bottom ones, and then the bracket bolts that'll be up here. Okay, once you get all the bolts in place, you're going to want to torque them down to 40 Newton meters. Make sure that you use a cross pattern to do so. So you'd start here, do this one, and then back down to the lower one. Next up, I'm going to reinstall the arm for our trim. And then we're going to reattach our trim. And finally, we'll reattach the steering cable to the steering nozzle. Reinstall the hoses and tighten up the hose clamps. Alright, so that's it. Pretty simple install. There's a couple of places where you can get tripped up a little bit. For instance, removing the pump from the tunnel took me a little bit longer in order to get the sealant to break free, and also removing the actual impeller from the drive shaft requires a lot of force, and that took a little bit longer than this video shows. Thank you very much to Yamaha Motors for supporting this build and making the build series possible. You can find all of our updates on PWCExtreme.com. Up next, what we're going to do is take this ski on the water and see how much more speed we gained from the Impeller installation. We already have a tune installed at this point, and that showed some pretty good gains already. You can find further updates by subscribing to us on YouTube, following us on Twitter, and liking us on Facebook. And of course, all the data will be posted on PWCExtreme.com. For the impeller that we installed, you can find it directly on PWCMuscle.com, as well as a selection of impellers that'll fit this ski and others. The link will also be in the description of this video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, ride fast, ride safe, and we'll see you on the water.